Sergio Perez's race was over at the first turn as he was pinged off in the melee down there. But Nico Hulkenberg had a belter, absolute belter. Started way out of the top 10 after he picked up that three-place penalty for the Singapore Grand Prix incident with Felipe Massa. But drove beautifully today, absolutely beautifully. A very quiet, very lonely race for the German. But he got past the Lotuses at the first pit stop, never looked back. It's another race back in the points then for Nico Hulkenberg, as Force India looked to solidify 5th place in the Formula One World Championship. We didn't see much of you on the TV screens, but one of the drives of the day. Phenomenal job. Congratulations. How does it feel?
Good, thank you. Yeah, quite lonely, as you say, most of the race, but don't really care. You know, most important is we get the results, we get the points. Had a great start. Straight away, I think got 2-3 positions off the line, and into turn 1 I choose the inside. Inside of a Toro Rosso was quite risky, but I knew I have to make it at the start because otherwise overtaking is so difficult here. Worked well, found myself in an 8th position after turn 2, which was you know, a great jump forward obviously, and then I had the Lotus in front of me. They were actually holding me up a little bit, and we decided to undercut them by strategy, coming early, and that way we just got them. I think it was really tight with Romain. But from then onwards, you know, we had better pace in them. I was managing my car, my tires from then onwards. Like you say, pretty lonely most of the race from there onwards, but it doesn't matter. It was effective and successful.
It was the perfect strategy, more points on the board as well. Battle with Red Bull Racing, how important is this with them double DNFing?
Oh, I think there's no battle. I think we're still a long way behind them in points. To be honest, I don't even know how much we are behind, but I think for us the focus is more on consolidating the 5th place, you know, fighting off Lotus. Obviously they had a double car points finish today, so made 2 points on us, but we still have a good margin. But it just shows, you know, we gotta be on our toes and keep doing our homework, otherwise we might pay a price at the end.
Ever since this B-Spec car's come in, the results have been coming. Do you feel the car improving with each race? And if so, how much better can this get before season's end?
Yeah, definitely. We've improved the car a lot. The B-Spec was a big step forward ever since. I think we've made little progress, not as much obviously because the parts aren't as big as they were in Silverstone, but you know, it's important that we keep doing that because otherwise we just get you know, outraced and overtaken by others. So very important that we keep it coming and that we keep developing this car.
It's been a very difficult week for Lotus. Arriving here, questions over freight, unpayment of bills, and all the while an administration hearing looming on Monday. That's tomorrow. But through it all, the staff of the team, the boys, the girls, the mechanics, the engineers, they've all been incredible, and they've all worked to do what they come to races to do, which is to race. They got both cars home in the points, a testament to the fighting spirit of everybody down at Enstone. Pastor Maldonado spoke to us about his emotions at the end of a difficult weekend and how happy he was that both cars got home in the points for Lotus. A tough race for you guys today. Ultimately, though, a great start and both cars back in the points. How good does that feel at the end of what's been a very difficult week for the team?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it was very difficult start of the weekend. But yeah, I need to thank the team just to be united like this and to work very hard. I think we deserve to place both cars in the points. Good points for the team, and looking forward for the rest of the season.
What will it mean to the team getting both cars back in the points today after all of their hard work this weekend?
It's very important. Actually, it's very, very important. We've been not having very great time, so it's something very pleased to back to the points and then even to give them something back. You know, they've been working very hard during the weekend, and we deserve these points.
They say that Suzuka is a driver's circuit, and well, he may only be 17 years old, but Max Verstappen is proving himself week in, week out to be one of the best drivers in the world right now. His overtaking has never been in question, but was in full force once again today. Starting down the back of the grid after that 3-place grid penalty for parking his car sort of erroneously during qualifying after he lost power. He rose like the proverbial salmon. A beautiful drive. Couple of frustrations in being able to pass people, but pit strategy played out for him. Made the pass on his teammate, and yeah, another solid race for Max Verstappen back in the points. That looked like a lot of fun today. How enjoyable was it for you?
It was a lot of fun, but also a little bit frustrating in the beginning because I got stuck behind Nasser. I saw the cars in front of me pulling away, while I knew the car was really good. Only on the straights it was very difficult to get past. But then after the first pit stop, we got past the Sauber. Then we got stuck behind Kvyat and Fernando. But from there on, kept pushing. In the end, I got Fernando, and from there on, it was, I think, quite a good race.
Pulling off some great moves. Some attempts around the outside of 130R, down at the Casio Triangle, down at turn 1. Which was your favourite?
My favourite? I quite enjoy with Fernando. I mean, he's a world champion, and you could see, he was preparing himself very well all the time out of the last corner, so it was very difficult for me to get past. And then once he missed a bit the chicane, so I had a good exit, but then still, you have to pull off the move in turn 1.
How enjoyable is it racing around Suzuka? I mean, we know you love to overtake. You proved it again today. You may have started down the back of the grid, but as you said, you knew you could get points today.
It's very challenging, especially because the track is very narrow, and then if you overtake someone, it's even more special.
Danny Kvyat had a biggie in qualifying, but these boys pulled it all together and built him a new car. In fact, the only thing that was the same on the car on Sunday as it was on Saturday was the driver. Every part of the car was completely new. Danny Kvyat was fine, not a bruise on him, no stiffness. Spoke to him before the race, he felt great, but a massively frustrating afternoon for him. It's quite a good tune, never heard it before. Really frustrating afternoon, couldn't use his overtake button, was swearing at the team because he wanted to use it. Real frustration for him. Nice little move at the end though, following Raikkonen through at the chicane. Ricciardo similarly had a bad day because he made a rocket of a start, absolute rocket start, as he always seems to do. And then just the slightest of touches with Felipe Massa, that slightest of touch on his rear and Felipe's front, and that was it. Game over, really, from the first corner. A horrible afternoon for Red Bull Racing after a really promising start to the weekend after qualifying certainly for Ricciardo. It's the first time that neither Red Bull has been in the points since Australia 2014. So here is Danny Kvyat and here is Daniel Ricciardo. I think that's one of the drives of the race today from you. It looked like an incredibly difficult one, though, without the use of the overtake button.
Yeah, it was pretty boring, to be honest. Just sitting duck all race. Problems with everything, brakes, tires, no overtake button. So yeah, it was complicated race all in all. But yeah, at least in the end we tried to overtake some people. We managed, but not great.
How difficult is it to change your mindset from being one of attack, which would have been going into the race, to knowing that you were, as you say, a sitting duck and going to have to defend?
Well, that's annoying. What can I say? It's annoying. It's not so much of a pleasure, to be honest.
Good move at the end, though, following Kimi through at the Casio Triangle. A small bit of enjoyment at the end?
Yeah, a small one, but to be honest, it was only for P13, so it doesn't give much of a satisfaction in that case.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
Daniel, a race that promised so little and ultimately all over at the first corner. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 good starts in a row now, so since let's say no procedures, it's all gone well for me. So I got a good one, and I knew it was going to be a fine line through there, but problem is you lift and you lose places, so it's not every day we get a good start. And just stayed in it, and there was a gap. I haven't seen a replay. Obviously a lot happens at the start, but for me it was enough. But I guess just sort of got Massa on the way through, or he got me, I don't know. So it's a shame because sure, we would have gained a couple of positions there and probably had a much better race. So after that, I know we had a damage to the floor when the tyres obviously deflated and destroying it, so we lost quite a bit of downforce, and I think we still had good pace, and then tried to do what I could, but not enough for points.
First race since Australia last year that Red Bull haven't scored any points. How painful is that for the team?
I mean, sure, it's just unfortunate, obviously Danny had to start from pit lane, and I think I would have been probably 5th in a turn 1, but we were nearly a lap down, so it's just racing. I think we still showed we got decent pace, so we'll move on to Russia. Probably not our strongest circuit, but after that we got a few good ones.
It's a very different Marussia garage at the end of the Japanese Grand Prix to where we were 12 months ago. A situation none of us want to go back to. But the Marussia boys happy after bringing both their cars home today. And Alexander Rossi in his second Grand Prix doing another standout job, finishing ahead of Will Stevens once again. Here's the young Californian who celebrated his birthday this weekend as well at the end of his second Grand Prix. How did you enjoy your first race around Suzuka?
It was tough, man. The first set of tires, we really struggled for pace, but we made a change at the pit stop. which rebalanced the car quite a bit. And then the next 2 sets were quite a lot better. So I think our race really started after the first pit stop, and we just carried it through there. It was a little bit more tricky with the blue flags this race than in Singapore, so another tough introduction to F1.
Yeah, we saw you getting well out of the way of the guys down into turn 1. In clear air after those pit stops, chasing down your teammate, at points you were 1.5 to 2 seconds a lap quicker than him, but just couldn't seem to get through. Talk us through that.
Yeah, when you get close to the car in front here, I mean, it's really difficult to stay in touch, especially in Sector 1. You just lose a lot of downforce. So when I was in clean air, I think we definitely had the better pace. It was unfortunate that we lost quite a bit of time on the first set with a car I wasn't too happy with, but then the next 2 sets I was able to close the gap quite a bit, but he had track position, so that hurt me a little bit until the blue flags kind of reached up with the order a bit.
And then you come flying through 130R, big puff of smoke. Which way were you going to go?
I don't know. I first wanted to go to the right, and then the left, and it worked out in the end. I'm very happy that both of us got out of that with no issue.
But you would have been through anyway with his time penalty. How good does it feel for both of your Formula 1 races so far to have finished ahead of your teammate?
Yeah, good. I mean, that's obviously the goal that I came to do. I'm a little bit more disappointed with this race just because I don't think that we had as strong of a pace as in Singapore. I do think I was a bit quicker, but it wasn't as convincing as last week.
So with pack up in full swing, we will see you next in Russia. What do we take from the last 2 weeks? Singapore, I think we can safely say now, was a blip for Mercedes. A very rare dropping of the ball from the most dominant team of the current generation. But Ferrari were there to maximise on it, and they so nearly maximised today on Rosberg faltering at the first corner. Nico Rosberg looks to me like a defeated man. I think he knows he can't win this World Championship, and the fact that Lewis Hamilton won today when Rosberg had been on pole and muscled him out of the way at the first corner showed, I think, once again that Lewis Hamilton is riding on supreme confidence right now. He's simply, when the chips are going for him, I don't think he can be beaten. But Rosberg can and has been and is being. Yes, he showed fight today, but is it enough to take him to the end of the season? Because Sebastian Vettel is coming, that Ferrari is improving, and we've got a really great battle, I think, until the end of the season to see if Sebastian Vettel can overcome, it's really thinking the impossible, but can overcome Nico Rosberg. This is the most dominant team. This is the most dominant car. That is the narrative for the remainder of this season. Can Rosberg hold on to P2? Because Ferrari are coming. It's been a wonderful couple of races over here in Singapore and Japan. We now head back to Europe and then, as we said, to Russia. But for now, from all of us on Paddock Pass, that's it. That's your lot. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.